Welcome back, guys. Tyler here, Chase here. This week we're going to talk about the biggest mistakes people make when building a custom home. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Chase and I are going to be better moving forward about creating more videos, talking about the building sciences, behind the scenes in our projects, information, products, processes. Him and I have been so busy in the field working on a lot of our projects, and we've kind of fell short on putting out some content and just having open dialogue and conversation to share with you guys some of these new products, trends, processes, and just information for anyone who wants to build or may have aspirations to build in the future. But even those of you who want or are interested in just the building sciences in general, if you want to be a general contractor someday, or if you want to get into construction. Jason and I are going to be more intentional about getting together at the office and just putting out some more content for you guys to learn. So without further ado, the first topic that we wanted to talk about today with you guys is the biggest mistakes we see people make when building a custom home. And these topics that we wrote down just right off the rip are in no ranking of importance. It was just him and I coming together, jotting a few things down. And our goal and hope is to just give you guys some perspective to where if you're in the process or you're about to get on this journey, you've got a resource that you can look out for these landmines or these hurdles, or get our perspective on some of these talking points to just make you a better educated consumer in the market, and honestly just to provide them a better building experience.
Also, what you pointed out was more or less at the end. You can see the end product or the end process like we have in multiple projects, and we'll give you those secrets and those details now just before you actually get into it. So it's really vital that we're trying to get this information out to you, understand it, that way it educates you a lot better and just becomes a huge asset for you during the entire process.
For you and for any of your friends, family members, colleagues, coworkers, etc. The first topic we wrote down is probably more relevant to me, my side of things. It's buying land before talking to a builder. I see this happen all the time, and it is a huge mistake for a plethora of reasons. And it's not funny because it's a very serious hurdle.
Absolutely.
Or landmine, but the consumers almost get upset, at other people because they went into something not educated and expect people to bend over backwards or try to get them out of a situation that they put themselves in.
Or try to pick up the pieces afterwards.
Yeah, over items that, we or I or any other agent has no control over.
Correct.
But a reason, guys, that's a big mistake is buying land before talking to a builder is whether you're buying a lot in a platted subdivision or you're looking at undeveloped acreage out in the country, those are two different products to build on.
Majorly.
The part of you buying a lot in a platted subdivision, the risk factor on that is much lower.
Hands down.
However, some people think, I don't need an agent to buy that. You still do, because those lots should have soil borings on each individual lot, and you have to verify the subsurface on that lot.
And I'm glad you brought that up. The soil borings are for compaction testing. It's to make sure that the soil you're going to be putting it on is either good for a slab foundation, a crawl space, or even a walkout basement or a basement in general. Those soil borings are crucial. Most of them do in the subdivision lot, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of them do because that's a part of that development side of things.
The key there is foundation.
Yes.
And that's where I was going at, because I'll get some clients who send me these lots in a nice subdivision in a nice area that, maybe it's a 15-year-old subdivision and there's a couple lots in there that haven't sold that are really cheap. and they'll go out and buy those on a whim and not understanding why they hadn't sold. Well, it needs, 20 pilings, to make that suitable for a slab or whatever, or extensive dirt work. And when you calculate the site prep involved with making that a suitable lot, it's mind-blowing as to what that end price is just to be able to build on that, which is why it hasn't sold. So don't get caught up in that. Pride and ego tend to get in the way of everything. It seems like the older we get.
Emotions are huge.
And guys, like, it's okay to not know everything. Get with someone who does this every day, and someone who can steer you, and make sure they've got your best interest and they know the product, they know the process. Don't use an agent who's never sold land before or who's never built a house before. You guys got to get with someone who's experienced, who knows what they're doing, who knows what to look out for, who knows how to read these reports, who knows who to call and ask for these reports, to bring it to your attention so you know what you're getting yourself into. And that's solely the premise of why I'm saying it's a big mistake to buy land before talking to a builder, because there's so many unknowns when you're talking about just the site development.
Correct.
That's just one risk factor in a platted subdivision. We haven't even touched on the rural side yet.
No.
The rural side yet there's even more cans of worms, because you're essentially becoming a mini developer. You've got to bring electricity to the site. You've got to develop a sewer system for a house that you haven't even designed yet. Just so many of these little components that Chase and I, as your builder, are going to help you think about before financially committing to something, because you may buy a piece of ground that you may be able to afford, or you may think you can afford, but when you articulate what you want to build and you finally realize, oh crap, it's going to cost me $150,000 just to make this lot buildable.
Prep it.
That no longer makes that lot an option.
Correct.
So that's the meat and potatoes as to why you should not buy land without speaking to your builder, because it's not that they want to get involved or get in your way. They just want to make sure they protect your budget. And can just make this, a reality for you guys.
And understand too, your builder's a teammate. Understand that we're all working together to get the same goal for you guys. Supposed to be a teammate. Thank you. Most of them are, and they're here to guide you throughout the entire process, just like a real estate agent is. There's no
malice.
Thank you. Yeah, there's no malice to be doing anything on the negative side. It's more or less just to get you to where you are after. And if you have those knowledge and tools, like Tyler said, that's where the value comes into hiring a good builder and hiring a good real estate agent to make sure that that end goal is still present. The next thing I want to bring up is underestimating the budget.
It's a good one.
Yeah, there's a lot of things when it comes to the budget. There's over 200-300 line items plus on the items that we have to go through. Underestimating the budget and realizing what things actually cost versus what you might think.
Or hope.
Oh yeah, or hope too. That's a great one. Emotions can play into that, so we have
So
to set
so
back.
can mom, dad, grandpa, Chat GPT.
A lot of influence is a big one, especially on the AI side where they're giving you these ideas.
Yeah.
But also understand when that comes to the budget items are directly correlated to the products that we use and the amount of quality that you get out of those. So the good old saying is you buy what you pay for is most of the time true, about 80% of the time true, especially when it comes to building products. Case in point, if you get a fixture from the box store versus builder grade from a supplier, those are the exact same products, but different internals, different ways. And
different internal components.
Correct, thank you.
And to break that down, because Jason is an engineer, super smart, he's going to talk.
Thanks.
He's going to talk in a different language, but what he's saying is Kohler, for example, or Delta, which is a plumbing fixture company, may make a fixture faucet and it'll look identical, but the price will be what, $200 difference?
Yeah, big difference.
And you're like, gosh, why the hell is SMG or any other builder that you're working with charging me out the butt for this fixture? Well, they're different. So what you're gonna see in the big box stores or on Amazon, for example.
Correct. Yeah, Amazon's really bad at it too.
And to pro tip, to put you guys on game to make sure your builder's not doing this to you, because we don't do this, but I'm sure there are some people out there who do it. You can look up the serial number, the product number.
Yep.
They'll have the same SKU but different product numbers for what it is. But the when Chase said internals, the internal components to these fixtures are different. So the cheaper versions will be like plastic type components, and they break very easily.
Absolutely.
Like you may be in the house for 6 months and there'll be a defect or it'll start to cause a leak. Whereas the stuff that we're going to price in, stuff that's builder grade, they're going to have like steel, aluminum, interior components, brass, absolutely. Stuff where you can get 15, 20 years out of this before, you may potentially have any, issues.
And that ties right into the underestimating the budget, is realizing those fixtures that you guys do typically have control over is really what you pay for. So if you do want quality that's going to last, you will have to pay for that. And so understanding that budget and figuring out what those numbers are, working with us and other builders, they typically give you a good allowance for those, and those are very open and transparent. We're really big on transparency, and so we love to work and collaborate with the client, saying, hey, I found this online, can we use this? Yeah, let me check with my supplier. If not, I'll tell you the pros and cons of going with the one that you chose, and we're willing to do whatever you need, ensuring that
you get the fixture that you want.
Correct.
But just don't come at me if we install it and you have an issue.
Something happens. And I told you specifically saying, hey, these are the problems that are going to have. So understanding the budget side of all those allowances, framing packages, window packages, site work, all those are a large portion of the budget, and there's a million other items that I could list. But understanding and having more breakdown of the budget is a great way to get into it and saying, hey, what are these things actually costing? Getting a baseline from it first, and then possibly going out, finding an alternative, doing some shopping for you, and that's where the fun really begins, because then it comes a game. The allowances are really just a lot of fun to figure out if we can get that number down a little bit, what else can I use that money I already allocated for something else as an upgrade? And so it's back and forth.
Until you just kind of create the perfect cocktail for your home.
Yeah.
My only talking point really on underestimating the budget is, just be careful about people who throw out a price on a home as if it were, a box of cereal on the shelf.
Yeah, it's not.
I think you've got to decide whether or not you want an actually, custom home.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to go the modular route, which I would argue is 90 to 95% of the market.
Correct.
Is a track home.
Correct.
The
in our area.
Yeah, well, I can speak at a national level. It is track products, and it'll be under the guise of a modular. They'll push you to, when I say our competitors.
Sure.
They push you to a floor plan, and then they want you to manipulate inside these boundaries that they create. And they call it a custom home because you get to pick the color of the carpet. And that's
within their standards that they do have as well.
And dude, that's not custom. And that's fine. There's a place for it. It is what it is. Yeah. I don't like people hiding that under the guise that it's a custom home when it's not. Like, it's a modular home, it's a track home. You're manipulating, you're staying within inside these walls. And I think if you want a true custom home, you got to be patient with the numbers.
Yes.
Because we can't get you an accurate figure because it's something that we're creating out of literally thoughts and ideas.
Yes.
And we can give you a really good idea.
Yes.
A very, very good idea, which how our process works is we provide people a proposal based on a conversation that they share with us to tell them, where they're going to fall approximately based on what they articulate to us.
Yes, absolutely.
And we take great pride in that because we try to narrow that in to set, client expectations. But you never truly know until you get through the design stage and you have something physically that we can price out and construct. Whereas everybody else is going to have, their numbers because they're just dressing up a box.
Yeah, they built it 6,000
6 different times. Yeah, 660 different ways. Yeah. So I think it's much easier to, know your boundaries when you're just dressing up a box.
Yes.
So I would decide, am I going to build a true custom home and give this thing my time and attention and the effort it takes to create something extraordinary? Or am I okay with having an average product with an average builder and
being more on the budget friendly side?
Yeah, and like I said, there's totally a time or place for that, and we're never above.
No.
We just think that for the cost it takes to build, just in general, you might as well do it right or not at all.
100%.
From my perspective,
it's a big investment, both time and financially, emotionally, mentally. All of that plays a huge factor into just building a house in general.
Yeah, and I would just make sure your builder can give you a good idea on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
That way there's no surprises. And I just think that that's a huge mistake when building a home, is just
100%.
going into it blind and seeing a base price on a website and thinking that's turnkey. It's like, nope, there's a lot. You got to pour your sidewalk, you got to pour your driveway, you got to trench for utilities, you got permitting, you got your survey, you got all these other things that get added to that bottom line. And just don't go into it thinking, you know, I could squeeze this out, because you won't have a fun experience.
Next thing I want to get into is not planning for future needs. That's a big one. It's more economical to do it during the build if you know you're gonna add something later. Case in point, we get a lot of projects where they want to utilize the attic. Attic is a great way for extra space, for storage, playroom, just anything you can think of. If we plan for it ahead, meaning I get utilities up there, I get power, I get an HVAC system, I get a window framed, all those things are much more viable to do during the build rather than trying to retrofit afterwards. You're gonna pay more retrofitting it rather than what you're doing now, and you can just slap it in. So a lot of that future planning we like to do up front. That's again why our process is a little bit longer on the upfront portion of it. That way we can think of the whole entire viewpoint, not just building a house and going there.
Thinking about how you live, how you're going to use the home, what your future aspirations are.
Absolutely.
I do think we're pretty intentional about, and I could see how that may come off as us trying to spend your money, but it's really not. It's truly just trying to get you to think outside the box, like, okay. And there's, on the flip side of that, there's some people who don't have the budget to do everything they want.
Yes.
So maybe we give suggestions based on, well, look, if we do it this way and we set it up this way, we can have it primed and ready to go, so that after you're in there for 3, 4, 5 years, it's very economical to do, you know, whatever it is that they wanted to do after the fact.
Absolutely.
And from everything from, like you said, bonus rooms and attic spaces to future pool setups, hot tubs, outdoor kitchens.
Basements is a really big one too. We can plan for an unfinished basement, get the utilities there, and then when you guys are ready, we come back in and it's everything good to go. Those are great points.
I think a big talking point or generalization of this whole video, a lot of it will be about preparation.
Correct.
It's really just getting educated and preparation piece for, honestly, the here, the now, and the later.
Absolutely.
One I'd like to bring up that I think is a big mistake is choosing the finishes before finalizing your floor plan. And when I say choosing your finishes before, you know, finalizing your floor plan, you shouldn't be looking at quartz products for your kitchen if you haven't figured out the overall layout of the home, the aesthetic, the style. You'll tend to get ahead of yourself if you start looking at, you know, like flooring. I think it's okay to have a vision board.
Yes.
To have color palettes and color
Correct.
SKUs.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I
I
think
think
not to get bogged down by the products themselves.
correct. I think
big
once you create the space, then you can figure out, okay, well, what's my budget for this category? Here's the look I'm after. What products align with this overall goal?
Correct.
I think if you lead with that as your North Star, you're gonna have a positive experience.
100%.
You're gonna have a great house that is gonna come out the way that you envision. And I just think it's a huge mistake, because I see some people who want, you know, oh, I gotta have this wolf grade appliance package, or I gotta have imported marble in my primary shower. And it's like, well, let's look at the scope of the project. Let's figure out how much this is all and like what's left and what we can allocate. And we'll help you cram as much of this, you know, value as you want in the home. But getting bogged down by a lot of that stuff is not conducive to the overall plan.
And I think too, you mentioned earlier about the preparation of building a home. This goes case in point, because we're trying to take this massive idea and funnel it down into a final product. It's going to take a lot to funnel it down. So if you're already funneling it down at the early stages, that's going to really limit you on design aspects, understanding your flow and how you actually use the space, and you're more micro focusing on something that can be done at a later time. You know what I mean? Where we have showrooms, you can actually see the space, then you take that sample and put it in the space once we get to that point. There's a lot of those types of things that can help you
Preserve your mind share.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what
Good
it is.
point.
Preserve your mind share. Stay focused.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more, because there's so, like, to your point earlier in the video, you mentioned there's 200, 300, 400 line items in a
amazing,
build,
yeah.
and to make all those decisions in one meeting is just is laughable.
Yeah.
But some of our competitors really push these people to try to accomplish that.
And that's where you see the boxes of, hey, I have 10 colors.
That's where you see the mistakes made. That's where they try to put, like you said, they try to put you in those boxes, and you end up having a house that,
You're okay with, because it's like, well, I didn't have another choice.
well, and it looks like every other house on the block.
Yep.
And different folks, different strokes. But I know if I'm going to pay a premium to build a home, which is what that demands in today's market,
Correct.
I don't know about you, but I want something extraordinary, and I want something unique to me.
Correct.
Okay, this next one drives me crazy, and it's hiring based on the lowest bid.
It's a good one.
That's a huge mistake, guys, because Chase and I, we're not perfect.
No.
We don't win every project we bid on. I would argue we bid on more projects and lose than we win or actually receive.
I bet it's very common too in the build world.
It is, but my whole thing is, when I would just encourage you guys to look at the value that's being delivered for the price that you're paying, and give other builders an opportunity to build the product that you're trying to build. Because I can't stand seeing someone with a budget go build with one of our competitors, where we could have built that exact same house at either the same price or at least have given so much more value in terms of the efficiency and the quality. And look, like, nothing gets me worked up more than literally that, because why wouldn't you want more value for your money?
Correct.
And why wouldn't you want a more collaborative and embracive process,
Yes.
As well? It
100%.
quite literally makes no sense to me. And again, that's where pride and ego gets in the way of a lot of people.
Yes.
Take the time to get educated, because you know who's really about this and who really is passionate about building and creating for the right reasons.
Yes.
Who's not just trying to just build another house to add to their P&L or, sell a lot or add to their quarterly rebate check that they're going to get. You and I, like, we really love this shit. And we really like the challenge of building something extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And I think all of our projects to date kind of reflect that, and I'm proud of that. But, Chase and I want to build more, guys. And we need you guys to slow down, get with the right people.
Absolutely.
So that you guys can build something extraordinary.
And during that hiring process, you should be talking to multiple avenues, just like we do with everything when we go appliance shopping. Find some of the better options that you can, understand what they give you, and more or less the options that they may or may not have. There's a good interview process that has to go with hiring, and I said it earlier before, you do get what you pay for, especially when it comes to builders, is that there are builders who do it far less, there's builders who do it far more. Whatever that end product is the value and understanding of what that specific builder can do. And
the reflection of what they're building.
Bingo.
And I think, because we come from an athletic background, we really do view this as a collaborative project and a team-like approach. You guys are looking for a teammate, and make sure you interview these guys to make sure you're hiring the right teammate.
Absolutely.
Make sure the personality types, mesh. Make sure the communication styles mesh. Make sure you guys are setting, expectations on communication and things of that nature. All of that stuff is really important and translate to your build experience.
Absolutely. You hit it on the nail with all those other items that a lot of people just don't see. Is more or less how personal you might be and how easy it is to get a hold of them or work through mistakes. Those are very key points in trying to find a good builder that has your back, who is that team player, who wants to be your tight end to your quarterbacking. Like, there's a lot of cool things that we can do. And I feel like we're a great option for that teamwork effort. Which kind of brings us into the next point. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and that's ignoring energy efficiency. With some of those lower bid options, they may be sacrificing.
Not to interrupt you,
efficiency.
when you say lower energy options,
yes.
like let's be real, that's 85% of the market.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, let's call it for what it is.
Yeah.
So I just want to, I want to call a spade a spade. Whatever build code is, they're going to build to that code. and they're going to say, well, that's the way things are.
Yeah, and it's not. There's multiple ways to build things, construct things, and have these ideas.
Just because that's code doesn't mean that's optimal.
Correct.
Doesn't mean that's not susceptible to the elements.
Bare minimum.
It means it's what they have to do to be able to pass their inspection to build that product that you contractually agreed to. And the reason I say that with so much vengeance is because the callbacks you guys get after electing to hire based on the lowest bid.
You see that a lot.
Everything that you're about to talk about, and you're exactly right. I'm the one who gets those calls and has to say, well, I tried to tell you, my firm could have done a better job, and here's why. Or I tried to take you to this other builder who I felt does a great job.
Absolutely.
Who you felt, that $10,000 price difference wasn't worth what you're bitching about right now. Absolutely.
Case in point, energy efficiency is getting tighter. On the code book, it is getting a lot more stronger.
Which is good.
And what I mean by that, the houses are starting to get a little bit tighter. The code requirements are starting to realize that our houses do need to work through that. And that's why they're upping these standards, which is great overall, which is producing a lot better homes. But again, it's still your bare minimum. There's builders out there that like to go above and beyond, and most of the times it's either the same price or a little bit cheaper to get a little bit better window package or a little bit better insulation package. Understanding how to utilize the products that are available to your advantage is huge when it comes to energy efficiency. And just ignoring those is only hurting you in the long run. If you're gonna be there for 5 to 10 years, you wanna have a house that's good and working. You don't want to have to keep spending utility money on something that's just not doing it for you.
Especially here in the Midwest. We have crazy winters.
We see everything.
We get crazy, and like down south in some of those markets I'm in down south, it gets so hot. I constantly see these mechanical systems take a beating because the home wasn't insulated properly or wasn't flashed properly or
the location of the unit.
The location, the location of the runs, the location of the units. And people don't realize, in a world where we're talking about susceptibility of microbial growth and controlling humidity levels inside and out of your house.
Air quality in the home.
It's like they call you in the middle of July when it's 111 degrees outside and they're like, oh my gosh, I think there's mold growing around my bathroom vent. And it's like, well, they did minimum insulation and where it's 68 degrees on the inside here, right on the other side of that, it's fucking 120 degrees.
5/8 dry.
And it's sweating like a sieve. Yeah. So what do you think is going to transpire?
Correct,
And the sad part is, per code, that's not wrong. And just because that's not wrong and it can still cause problems, you would think if I were spending the kind of money it takes to build a custom home, I would want someone to care enough to educate me on those building sciences, to tell me why it's important to do this a certain way and why the price is the price, then not.
And ultimately let the buyer decide based on all that information we just give you, and you figure out, hey, is this worth an extra $10 to get a little bit extra insulation, so on and so forth.
So my whole premise with that is, I like Chase's point because he's really into the energy efficiency and the envelope of our product, and we're really proud of our Hirsch rating score that we get because we build a damn airtight home, and
we do.
Not everybody builds that way. So I think getting with anybody, your real estate professional, your custom home builder, who can bring up some of these key points. Where are you building? Are you in the Midwest? Are you, in the southeastern coast? Are you in the Midwest? Like another random example is if you're building a house like in Colorado, where there's heavy snow terrain. It's actually better to have a house that is darker in color on the exterior so that it reflects heat. Whereas in some of the southern markets, it's better to have lighter color. And it's just little nuances like that can elevate your product and improve the
longevity of your home, the comfortability of your home, and just overall feeling inside.
Which at the end of the day is it's your investment. It's protecting your investment. In some cases, it's protecting your health. And
once I read, I believe you're in your house like either 60 or 70% of your time throughout your whole entire life. And if you spend 60 or 70% in a toxic home, I wouldn't say it's to that degree, but let's say it's a toxic home with the mold growth and anything of that nature, that's a lot of time that you can work through to figure out saying, hey, is that what I want to do? Another point that is a mistake during the build or planning for a build is understanding what allowances are. That word gets thrown out a lot. Allowances, selections, those types of terminology are used quite often. Allowances are just that. The allowances are for you to have a bucket to plan for. Case in point, light fixtures, plumbing fixtures. Those are big allowances that we typically have. We allow for allotted costs based on the plans that we have, and we set that to you in a sense, and that's where that game comes in, to where we can figure that out.
My thing with underestimating or not understanding allowances, those are educated guesses.
Yes.
Based on experience and data.
And feedback from the clients. If they want certain fixtures that they know that they want as far as color-wise.
Yep, they come to the table with an
an
idea. Yep, we can pad some of those elements.
Correct.
As an agent and like your partner in the business, that is a tactic used by our competitors. They'll bait and switch. And what I mean by that is they'll advertise, hey, we include, an appliance allowance.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And there may be like $1,700 in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, dude. You show me middle grade appliance, package that you can get for $1,800. Dude, the fridge alone
Is worth
people
15.
want is $1,500, $1,200. Let alone a dishwasher, range, a microwave. So I think just be on the lookout for things like that, because there are tactics in this industry, and that's one of them. Another one is stuff like electrical and lighting allowances. Not everybody who builds a home wants chrome level finishes throughout the house.
Yeah, which is very common.
Yeah, and our competitors will price in like a base package, and those are like the nitty gritty details into a build that I see the majority of our field kind of brush over or get annoyed about because of how tedious they are and how much detail, where you and I kind of thrive in those environments.
Correct.
Because we really take the time to listen to you guys, figure out what you want to put in these homes, and make sure you've got enough money in there to get what you're wanting for your home. And that's how it should be.
Yeah. You brought up a point where it's the details behind it. There's a lot of details when you're trying to pick a fixture. Case in point, bathroom, freestanding bathtub. Do you want it floor mounted? Do you want it tub mounted? What's the drain color looking like? What are the lines going to it? Do you have any other hardware as far as handles?
What product is it? Because
Correct.
Delta and Kohler may require different rough-in pieces.
Correct. Exactly. So there's a lot of elements that we try to bring and show you, saying, hey, we have a $2,000 allowance just for your tub fixtures, because we have experience of saying, hey, this is what it all includes.
And we know what you want.
Correct.
And we want to make sure you have enough play to go to a showroom or browse online and actually get what you want.
Get what you want. We get the details behind it, and still all in within that allowance. So it's very, very common.
And then to your point where you talk about kind of gamifying the process, that's kind of the fun piece is if your builder does a good job and puts the appropriate allowances in there, anything you save gets credited back to you. And
or upgrade it throughout your house. If you want to upgrade a piece of tile, use the allowance money.
If you save a few $1,000 in this
Yeah.
category and you want to add that to a different category, you've got that ability to, just based on your selections. But like you and I, it's like we could care less what finishes go in the home.
Yeah.
Because it's so individual based. It's just my job to make sure they have enough based on what they communicate to me.
That's a big one.
Because I can't tell you, man, me as an agent, when I take my clients to other builders, just how disappointed and angry they get because they already signed a contract. And they're like, what do you mean? These are my only 3 options. And I'm like, I tried to tell you, but.
Absolutely. And understand that with allowances too, I hone in on bathrooms because there's a lot of allowances just in bathrooms alone. Feel how you work in a bathroom. Towel bars, towel racks, hardware, specialty drawer pullouts. A lot of those items are all included in those allowances. Ask questions, where are those allowances at within the budget? What are those allowances? And then you can start shopping from there. And that's where we get more or less to the very end, the finals, and we can kind of start to see how that all plays out. But most of the time, there's just a lot of little details that do still cost, that still add it, that need to be understood. If you add an extra electric towel bar warmer, there's infrastructure behind that that was not allocated for it. Yeah, the fixture might fit within your allowance, but there's other items that can be coming up too to help improve that. So think about the allowances as a game, a bucket. We pull from the bucket. Does it fit in the bucket? Those types of terms.
And on the flip side, the situations do go bad when you do some of these things that we're talking about, where you can really get yourself in a bind.
Absolutely.
Like buying a piece of ground that you didn't realize needed 30 grand worth of cut and backfill.
Preparation.
And, if your builder just threw in a bullshit $8,500 site prep allowance and the bill actually comes out at 30 grand, most of them just say, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you're pissed because, again, you already signed the contract, you're in the build. The way Chase and I operate, we eliminate all of those questions so that way you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, you know exactly what you're committing yourself to.
Yep.
And that would never be fun to wake up and find out that you've got to pay, 40 grand for a retaining wall.
Yeah, and there's a really good lead into the next one, which is poor communication expectations. Kind of goes hand in hand with allowances. You got to get really close into the communications of what is what within those allowances, or just in general with the communication between all parties.
Yeah, I think, and I'll touch base on that too, because we're all humans at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
We all have jobs, we all have families, things that we're a part of and that we have got going on. And I see a lot of people in the field just not have that ability to think outside of themselves. And I've stopped getting angry a long time ago because I've honestly lost all hopes of humanity. I know that's terrible to say, but it's the truth. But I think if you can develop that ability to think outside of yourself, it will elevate, honestly, your whole life.
Absolutely.
Not just this build.
Absolutely.
But
life tip.
The reason I say that is, at least for us, I can talk about our firm, like we have a builder trend that we utilize. And that's a place where you can go in there, you can communicate, you can take pictures, you can annotate, you can ask questions. And then when you clock in the next business day, you know exactly, you're at work and you're knocking this stuff out.
Absolutely.
But people are just in this world where they want everything right now. And it's like, look, I get, you work from 8 to 5 and you get out to the job site at 8:30 and you have a question about something. Brother, I was working all day too. That is not the
On
time.
your house.
That is not the time to call me or you and ask a
Correct.
question, because I'm eating dinner with my family. You're eating dinner with your family. Schedule a call. Send me an email.
Yep.
Go into Builder Trend and ask
Hit
the
me a
questions.
message, yeah.
My whole thing is make sure, it's just like a relationship. You are communicating your expectations up front. You share what you need, when you need. And just make sure all parties are kind of looped in that communication style, so that as the management of the project goes on, just everybody's on the same page and we know, okay, the best way for me to get the most out of my builder is to look at them as humans, respect their time, be empathetic to what they have going on.
Absolutely.
So that they can better serve me.
And it's reciprocated to them as well.
100%. We would pay that respect the exact same way. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
bug you on a weekend with a question. Nah, brother, I'm going to hit you up. I'm going to say, hey, man, I'm going to fire off an email. Call me on Monday morning. I got a question to ask you about this, and this. And I just think, that's really big, because I see a lot of builds get really nasty.
Correct.
Solely because of internal work that's not being done as human beings, not just, construction. And I think that's a good opportunity for everybody watching this video, is just ask yourself, how often are you thinking just outside of yourself? The world doesn't revolve around you.
No.
And I think that the more kind and thoughtful you can be, the more kind and thoughtful things happen to you.
And I want to add to that really quick on the poor communication and what you need to do to set your expectations, was more or less figuring out that builds can slow down. It doesn't have to be go, 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 go. If I have to hold off a contractor for one day to address your concern, fix it first and foremost,
Or get something right.
I will do that. But I'm not going to rush out there at 9 o'clock at night when I know I can easily have either myself or somebody else do it early in the morning. It might delay it for half a day, but as long as we're respecting one another to figure out that, hey,
We're a team
it's not
here.
a dire need most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's a building process.
Yeah.
There's going to be delays. There's going to be construction.
Construction ebbs and flows.
Correct. And so with that, on the expectations, is just feel that, understand it.
And talk about it.
Our utmost priority with the client is to make sure that their expectations are met. But again, it also has to be reciprocated to us on what they're wanting.
Yep. And I think it's just golden rule, right? Just treat everybody how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I think everything, goes cherry from there. The last biggest mistake I see people make when building a custom home is kind of all encompassing to what we just talked about. It's essentially not researching the builder.
Yes.
I think if you just, sign up with the first builder that you meet at an open house or based on a buddy that built with them or whatever, everything we've talked about is essentially preparation, planning, and education. And I think if you guys just spend the time to get with a real estate professional who specializes in new construction, and you take the time to see, these various products and learn everybody's, methods and kind of like what they're great at and what they're poor at, you can make the best educated guess for you and your budget.
We're in a world of information, and the information's out there. It's a matter of digging in, doing the time to figure out what you need.
And siphoning what's true and what's not.
Absolutely. That's going to be a huge thing moving forward for anybody that's wanting to build a custom home, wants to do any kind of remodels. Just figure out who your teammate is going to be. You'll have to live with that teammate for a few months, weeks at a time, and you have to understand that they have pros and they have cons just like every other human does.
That's right. That'll conclude this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching it. If you've made it this far, like always, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you guys have some topics that you want Chase and I to touch base on, we'd love to hear your ideas in the comments section. We'll see you guys next time.